Yeah.
I'd like to introduce everyone to Samantha Story Gay and her children Savannah and Sawyer. They were their home was one of the ones that we worked on this trip, and she has an amazing story that we'd like for her to share with us now.
Okay, I'll start, I guess, with Savannah's birthday party was on the Friday before the tornado. And we had 6 little girls that were in there that spent the night, and he spent the night all with a buddy of his. And he'd never really spent the night over there, and they had not had spend the night company, so everybody was really tired on Saturday for Savannah's birthday party. And whenever, say they came back, then the girls had had their evening, and then Sawyer had had his fun, and on Saturday we had the birthday party, and it stormed really bad Saturday afternoon. Like, didn't it hail too Saturday afternoon?
Mm-hmm.
It was bad, like, and a bunch of people didn't show up. Our neighbors next door didn't show up, and they're just right there. That tells you how bad it was raining and storming and weather warnings everywhere. But anyway, we had the birthday party, and then Saturday night, we had one little girl that stayed with us for the weekend, and whenever Sawyer got ready to go to bed, then we said his prayers, and then Savannah and Carly said their prayers, and they were in the living room. And Sawyer called me back in his room, and he said that there was some people in his room. And so I immediately kind of thought that was sort of odd, and it sort of stuck in the back of my mind, but I didn't think. I said, I just automatically didn't want him to be like bugging the fire out of me all night long about some people being in his room. And I said, Sawyer, you ain't seen no people in your room? And he said, yes, ma'am, and he pointed towards his closet. He said, I saw him, and he kind of drew like 3, at the time I didn't realize what he was drawing, but like 3 heads. And then, so I told him that was a reflection from the TV. And the TV doesn't reflect
It wasn't on.
I knew that was a
yeah,
lie.
she says the TV, she said the TV was not even on. And I don't remember if it was or not. I guess apparently it was not, but he bought it for the time being. But there's no way from where the TV was mounted. You seen where the TV was mounted there,
Right.
and to where his bedroom was around the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the TV wouldn't reflect in it, right? Slim to none chance. But anyway, he was okay with that. But later on that night, then storm warnings went off, and we got him up. And the girls got up, and we went and got in the tub, or put the 3 of them in the tub. We waited for them to say it was okay. And it was bad. I mean, to the point that you put your kids and somebody else's child in the tub, that's not our normal spot to hang out. But he went on back to bed like it was nothing, like he wasn't worried about the people in his room or anything, because I was worried again that was going to come up again and he'd be like spazzing. The girls, they didn't want to stay nowhere. They came and shacked in my room. They got their little blankets and stuff. And whenever, like the next morning they went on back to bed. Sawyer went to sleep, even with everything that was going on. He went on to his room, not necessarily to have to come and stay with us. So he had a peace, I think, about things.
Well, I did come in there when it started to hail a little bit.
Did you?
Remember that?
And then you went on back to bed. Okay, but he slept in his own room anyway, regardless. So, and the next morning, then Carly's mama, that was the little girl that was spending the night, her mama called, and they had just come in from out of town, and they came back early, and she sent the dad to come and pick her up. Thank goodness. And then as the day went on, we were there, and the weather got worse, and they were showing things on the TV, the weather warnings and all. We were all sitting in the living room, and they showed like a
It was like a tornado on like the radar going 95 miles an hour wind.
and they said, you can tell.
That's it.
that was, and it was the man remember how the man on the TV was like spazzing? He was like, and it's going here, and he was like, oh, like he looked like a nervous rat or something. Like he was just back and forth, like you could just tell. He said something really funny too.
That was before it popped up. There was a tornado. He said he was telling about where the weather was going, and then he said, now I have to take a pee break, so I'll be right
Yeah,
back.
he said that I knew there was something funny. He said that on TV, like that was part of our newscast. I was like, I know he did not just say that. But he was really just a nervous wreck. You could tell it was like serious, you know, like this was not something he had ever experienced. This was like, it was all over him. You know, if he was not making people nervous, there was, you know, they were not watching him because he was a nervous wreck, which was not cool for the weatherman. You know, he should be kind of calm. He was far from calm. But they had this like a cone thing showing across the TV, and we're watching it, and it's aiming towards, from wherever it was coming from, towards Americus, which is up above us. And that's where my mother-in-law, or ex-mother-in-law, that's where she lives at. And so we called her. She lives in an assisted living home. I was like, Miss Callie, what you doing? She says, I'm doing laundry. I said, do you know a tornado's heading your way? She says, no. So we hadn't heard anything about it. And she said, but I'll keep my ears open and whatever. I said, well, y'all be careful. It wasn't long. We talked a little bit more and all, and wasn't maybe a few minutes after I talked to her, then the man's going, and it's heading towards Americus, and it's going this fast, and it's still on the ground, and there's debris, like they know it's on the ground because there's debris in the radar or something, and talking about how dangerous it was, and and it's heading right towards Americus, and then he goes, oh no, it just shifted south. And that little cone thing went like that, and it was like, we were looking at TV, it was like, wow, that's heading for us. You know, like this is.
Well, it said it was heading towards Red Rock first, and that's like right down the road.
That's us, yeah.
And it changed again.
And then whenever they were doing that, then the TV went off, and the lights kind of flickered some. And then the kids were like, well, just cut the lights off, Mama. And our lights go off a lot when it storms. It's not no big deal. And our satellite goes out. So that's not uncommon. For them to kind of act like they did about it was uncommon. For them to say, cut the lights out, that was not normal. But the weather was just, it had been bad. And so we cut the lights out, and I told them, we got a text. And the text said, and we got several texts. People were talking about, have you heard this? And have you seen that? And you know, just different back and, you know, just regular stuff. And then somebody sent a text and they said, you need to go to your safe spot or your whatever spot right now, like immediately. And I was like, wow. And our TV was off. No alarms went off on the telephone, on my phone or her phone. No, you know, we don't have alarms in the country that actually go off like they do in the city to warn you of stuff. But we took that, with that text, I said, I guess we need to go get in the tub. And so I told them, I said, y'all go get you some water, because we had spent some time in the tub the night before, and with no water or no, you know, I guess you don't really think about how serious that is. So they went and got them some water, and they got there. We already had our stuff in the tub from the night before. And then they took the water, got back there, and I walked back there with them, and I said, I'm gonna go get me some tea. And they were like, no. She says, no, Mama, I'm gonna go with you. I said, no, we'll be right. I said, I'll be right back. I said, y'all stay in the tub. I'm gonna get me some tea, and I'll be right back. So I got them to stay, and I walked out of the bathtub, and the windows wouldn't. I tried to raise the windows up. I raised the ones in the back where the wall that actually was pulled away from the foundation, those windows in the kitchen area. I raised those up maybe about that much, and that was with putting my foot in the window sill and like pulling with all my might to get them up, because they didn't just raise easily. And I got my glass of tea, and I put it just in a red Solo cup, and walked on back there, and I had some boots that I like to wear. They're fat baby boots, and I wear them with everything to work around the house. And for whatever reason, I thought that I would put those on, or at least take them back there with me. And then I thought, if I take those back there, it's going to make them nervous, because that wouldn't be the normal thing to do, to take your boots back there, to come back. You know, I didn't have boots on, and then I come back in my work boots back there, then it would make them nervous. So I left them sitting in the kitchen, and I walked into the bathroom, and I sat down like on the side of the tub, and she says, are you going to get in the tub with us, Mama?
You know, we heard like a loud humming noise, kind of.
I said, I'm gonna wait. I said, I'll get in there in just a few minutes. And then I don't remember, like as soon as I said, I'm gonna wait a few minutes, I'll get in there. Then I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and get in there now. And that's the part that I don't like, I don't know what noise, if it was a noise or whatever, and he said, what'd you say it sounded like?
Like kind of like, and you could feel the house starting to like kind of vibrate a little bit once you got in there.
That's how quick, I mean, just like within the matter, just a few minutes from when we got that text, they got their water. I had to go get my tea and open the windows and come back in there. That would probably take maybe 3 or 4 minutes tops. And then I was in the tub and we covered, she says, aren't we supposed to cover up? Then I took our blanket. Whenever I took the blanket, I took them and I held them like, and I didn't plan how I was gonna hold them, but like I took that blanket and it was like right here in the tub and I kind of like pulled it over us and then I had them in headlocks. So, and they said they couldn't breathe. And that's what she was on this side of me and he was on this side and she kept saying, I can't breathe. And I was thinking, you don't need to breathe right now. You know, we're living, okay? Don't breathe. Don't worry about that part. But I had them and then I had that blanket over us and he had two Bibles, right?
And I had my blanket, but I was just pretty much sitting on it.
But he was holding his Bible, like he's got 2 Bibles. One of them
One's
was,
camouflage.
is that the one that was Dad's?
Mm-hmm.
And then his Bible. So he had 2 Bibles in there with us. And then we had my cell phone and her cell phone and a flashlight in us in the tub. And it sounded like the noises were horrible.
It's okay.
You can finish it. When you started hearing the metal and the stuff. Sorry. I knew I would cry. I can't help it. When you could hear the stuff like just ripping out from around you and the noises, like whenever it comes down, like wherever it come from, then the noises were just horrific, just horrible. It sounded really like just, it didn't sound like a train at all.
Sound like a giant vacuum cleaner.
It did, as it went over us, it did sound like a
Like
sucking.
that.
Yeah.
It was loud, really
It was
loud.
real loud, and it did make a sucking kind of noise, but it was like something just roaring, like just, and it sounded like if you could take some type of a big thing and just push over like trees and everything, you know, to like just demolish everything in the way. I can't even describe what it sounds like, but it was horrible. And sometimes whenever we're out there in the camper now, then when the wind blows, it's like creepy, you know, and you think, and they'll say, turn K-Love on, and that's our Christian radio station. So we sleep a lot at night with K-Love on, because it drowns out the wind noise, and the
And
winds.
sometimes the wind rattles metal, it's like up in
It
trees
does,
and
because there's
stuff.
still stuff all around there, and then the tarps are still up there in the barn. But it was a horrible, horrible sound that you won't ever, ever forget. Whenever it was,
I forgot.
no, you didn't. You might have put it back in the back of your head. But whenever it was when we thought it was done, and then like it stopped, and you would think, and the whole time that all this was going on, and you could sense that and it was dark up underneath our blanket. And I just kept praying. I was like, God, please watch over my babies. Please watch over my babies. God, please don't let nothing happen to my babies. Please protect my babies. And I said it over and over. And the kids said I screamed it and I wasn't saying it. So I was being very demanding to say. And he listened. He heard everything that I said. But that whole time that all of that stuff was going on, then that blanket never really, it wasn't like you would think if something ripped your roof off of your house and all that it done around. I mean, we have thousands of trees, and y'all see we have none, nothing at all. We have a breeze now. But with all of that, you would think that it would have done something to that blanket at some point if it pulled everything else out, sucked the stuff out of the attic and, all of that, and we never felt that blanket, didn't hardly even, I don't recall it moving at all. I know that
We felt rain.
you could feel, but it was like if you had something, it would just be like